Good morning, first graders. Today is Tuesday, March 31st, 2020. I hope you had a great Monday. Today, we are going to read our morning message first. Good morning, first graders. Today is Tuesday. You get to practice reading and math at home. Have a terrific Tuesday. Love, Mrs. Rochat. Just want to remind you about your matrix. Remember, you should be doing the must-dos in reading and writing and the math every day. For example, today, if you would like, you could choose a Just Right book and read for at least 15 minutes. Or, if you want, you could choose one of those math games that was included in your packet and play that for at least 15 minutes. Maybe even practice counting coins at home. If you look right here, we have 3 quarters, 1 dime, 1 nickel, and 2 pennies. If you know how much that makes, feel free to write it down on a piece of paper, draw the coins in that pad of paper that was in your folder. Yesterday was Monday, today is Tuesday, and tomorrow will be Wednesday. You can check on your seesaw to do the activity for our morning message and our calendar and submit it on Seesaw so I can see what you're doing. It is now spring and the weather outside is sunny. I hope that you're getting outside and having some fun. Also on your matrix, there are some activities that you could maybe do outside. Maybe if you want to do some physical movement, you could practice jogging in place and seeing how long you can jog in place. Maybe you can jog in place for a minute or longer. All right, boys and girls, today we're going to sing our money song. I hope you were singing it yesterday for your family. A penny is 1, a nickel is 5, a dime is 10, and a quarter's 25. Today, boys and girls, I'm going to be reading you a story. It's by one of my favorite authors. His name is Kevin Henkes. Also on our YouTube channel, you can watch more videos of me, but also other teachers reading stories just like this. So look for those 10-minute Tuesdays every day. This story is called Chrysanthemum. Do you know what a chrysanthemum is? Do you have any predictions about what a chrysanthemum might be? Since it's spring now, I figured this would be a great book. Chrysanthemum by Kevin Henkes. The day she was born, she was the happiest day in her parents' life. She's perfect, said her mother. Absolutely, said her father. And she was. She was absolutely perfect. I think you are perfect. Her name must be everything she is, said her mother. Her name must be absolutely perfect, said her father. And it was. Chrysanthemum. Her parents named her Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum grew and grew and grew, and when she was old enough to appreciate it, Chrysanthemum loved her name. I love my name, she says. She loved the way it sounded when her mother woke her up. She loved the way it sounded when her father called for her for dinner. And she loved the way it sounded when she whispered it to herself in the bathroom mirror. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum loved the way her name looked when it was written with ink on an envelope. She loved the way it looked when it was written with icing on her birthday cake. And she loved the way it looked when she wrote it herself with her fat orange crayon. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum thought her name was absolutely perfect, and then she started school. On the first day, Chrysanthemum wore her sunniest dress with her brightest smile. She ran all the way. Hooray! Chrysanthemum said. School. But when Mrs. Chudd took roll call, everyone giggled upon hearing her name. Oh, it's so long, said Joe. It scarcely fits your name tag, said Rita, pointing. I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria. You're named after a flower. Chrysanthemum wilted. Wilted means she kind of got a little sad. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect, and she thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and informed Mrs. Chudd that Chrysanthemum's name was spelled with 13 letters. That's exactly half as many letters as there are in my entire alphabet, Victoria explained. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chudd. Now, put your head down. If I had a name like yours, I'd change it, Victoria said, as the students lined up to go home. I wish I could, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. My name is too long, it scarcely fits on my name tag, and I'm named after a flower. Oh, pish, said her mother. Your name is beautiful, and precious, and priceless, and fascinating, and winsome, said her father. It's everything that you are, said her mother. Absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt much better after her favorite dinner, macaroni and cheese with ketchup, and an evening filled with hugs and kisses and parachesi, which is a game. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that her name was Jane. It was an extremely pleasant dream. The next morning, Chrysanthemum wore her most comfortable jumper. She walked to school as slowly as she could. She dragged her feet in the dirt. Chrysanthemum, 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 she wrote. She even looks like a flower, said Victoria as Chrysanthemum entered the playground. Let's pick her, said Rita, pointing. Let's smell her, said Joe. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and said, A chrysanthemum is a flower. It lives in a garden with worms and other dirty things. Thank you for sharing that, Victoria, Mrs. Chudd said. Now put your head down. I just cannot believe your name, Victoria said, as her students lined up to go home. Neither can I, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. How do you think Chrysanthemum is feeling the way that Victoria is treating her? I don't think it's very good. Welcome home, said her mother, and welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. They said I even look like a flower, and they pretended to pick and smell me. Oh, pish, they're just jealous, said her mother. And envious, said her father. Who wouldn't be jealous of a name like yours, said her mother. After all, it is absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt a trifle better after her favorite dessert, chocolate cake with buttercream frosting, and another evening filled with hugs and kisses and, of course, her favorite game. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that she really was a chrysanthemum. She sprouted leaves and petals. Victoria picked her and plucked the leaves and petals one by one until there was nothing left but a scrawny stem. It was the worst nightmare of Chrysanthemum's life. Chrysanthemum wore her outfit with 7 pockets the next morning. She loaded the pockets with her most prized possessions and her good luck charms. Chrysanthemum took the longest route possible to school. She stopped and stared at each and every flower. Chrysanthemum, 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 the flowers seemed to say. The morning the students were introduced to Mrs. Twinkle, the music teacher. Her voice was like something of a dream, as was everything else about her. The students were speechless. They thought Mrs. Twinkle was an indescribable wonder. They went out of their way to make a nice impression. Mrs. Twinkle led the students in scales. Then she assigned roles for the class musical. Victoria was chosen as the fairy queen. Rita was chosen as the spiffy butterfly princess. Jo was chosen as the all-important pixie messenger. And Chrysanthemum was chosen as a daisy. Chrysanthemum's a daisy! Chrysanthemum's a daisy! Jo, Rita, and Victoria chanted, thinking it was so funny. And Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. "What's so humorous?" asked Mrs. Twinkle. "Chrysanthemum," was the answer. "Her name is so long," said Jo. "It scarcely fits on her name tag," said Rita. "I'm named after my grandmother," said Victoria. "She's named after a flower." "My name is Long," said Mrs. Twinkle. "It is?" said Jo. "My name would scarcely fit on a name tag," said Mrs. Twinkle. "It would?" said Rita. "And I'm named after a flower, too," said Mrs. Twinkle. "You are?" said Victoria. "Yes," said Mrs. Twinkle. "My name is Delphinum. Delphinum Twinkle. And if my baby is a girl, I'm considering Chrysanthemum as the name. I think it's absolutely perfect." Chrysanthemum could scarcely believe her ears. She blushed, she beamed, she bloomed. Chrysanthemum, Chrysanthemum, Chrysanthemum. Jo, Rita, and Victoria looked at Chrysanthemum longingly. "Call me Marigold," said Jo. "I'm Carnation," said Rita, pointing. "My name is Lily of the Valley," said Victoria. Those are all different types of flowers. Marigold, Carnation, and Lily of the Valley. All these girls are wanting to change their names to be a flower too. Chrysanthemum did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She knew it was. The end. Boys and girls, I hope you liked our story, Chrysanthemum. Maybe sometime today or this week when it's nice outside, you can go out and find flowers, or maybe ask your parents about any different types of flowers that they know, or maybe even research some flowers on your device or internet. I hope you have a good day. I really, really miss you. I wish I could see you today, but you know what? We'll be together soon. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, first graders. Mwah!